What's up you guys? I hope you are well. This is Gabby. I'm back with another video. If you're new to my channel, I make videos about social work, career, business, life, all of that. So make sure to subscribe if you're interested in those kind of topics. So for this video, I want to get straight to the point and talk about, some lessons I've learned and some practices that I've started implementing around getting through work and staying motivated and working hard, building my career, etc. during hard and stressful times. We are going through a lot as a society, politically, socially, economically. It's just a lot of ups and downs, but we're all at different stages of life. And I want to acknowledge where we all are, no matter what type of unpredictable state your life is in or what challenges you're going through currently in your life, because they're all important. Maybe to other people, the magnitude of your problem or challenge may seem small or not that important. Everyone is going through their own challenges and their struggle during this weird phase that we're all living through. And of course, we're still trying to grow our careers and wanting to mobilize and move from one stage to the next despite what we're going through, right? So I'm just going to be giving you some tips and things that I've been considering to help keep me going and growing in my career in the ways that I see as valuable to me and just keeping moving, right? So that's what I want to talk about today, because I don't really see a lot of videos like this, videos acknowledging that although we're going through tough times, we're also expected to come to work and bring our full selves to the table. So how the heck do you balance those two things? And that's really the conversation that I hope this video will start. And in the comment section, please share with me and everyone else what you all have been doing. Okay, so the first point that I want to highlight is the importance of taking care of you and tending to your hobbies and your own personal life. Sometimes when life is unpredictable, we grasp onto those things that are most predictable or grasp onto the areas of our lives that will distract us and make us forget about everything that we're going through. That's a recipe for burnout, and maybe your job can settle you for a while, but there's going to come a day and a moment when all of that built up pressure, anxiety, stress is going to want to come out. It's better to tend to it over time, small ways every day, instead of, coming to a point where it just all implodes and now you're having extreme anxiety. Make sure that you're still having that balance and you're not using your job as a way to cope or a way to forget about what's going on. Make sure that you're still having balance and you're putting your time in at work, but you're also building new hobbies, getting into things that make you happy, and finding ways that make you feel calm and relaxed. So one thing that I've actually started doing, which I think actually makes me a more productive and a more mindful employee, is doing puzzles. You can see in the background, on the floor. I don't have a big enough table, so I have to do it on the floor, but I have puzzle pieces right there. Something else that I want to talk about is the importance of taking time off and taking breaks throughout the day too. This is something I'm guilty of not always doing because I may have some kind of internal fear of letting people down or not always being available, but I'm really working with myself to quiet that part of my brain and to just, do what feels right and do what I know is going to lead to my happiness and my health in the long run. So I've started taking walks sometimes during lunch. So I'll take a 30 to 45 minute walk. This is something that has been making me feel so good. And when I come back, I'm re-energized, I'm ready to go. I would just recommend that to you all too. Especially if you're working from home, you can get a workout in, you can do some yoga, you can take a walk, you can take a bike ride, be very creative. I just love the fact that, now that I'm working from home, I can implement those things into my day that really make me happy. Working from home has created this very unrealistic and weird situation to where we always feel like we're at work because our home life has also turned into our office space. So it could just create a weird situation where your brain doesn't comprehend that divide anymore. When we drove to the office, it was very easy to come home and realize, okay, this is my personal time and I can click that off switch. But working from home, you have to be more intentional about creating that division for yourself, and you have to remind yourself to not feel guilty about it. I know it can be difficult, but it's super important for just your overall mental health. And also using that PTO time. I get it, we're not in a place where many of us feel comfortable traveling like we used to. Even in my mind, I automatically associate PTO with getting on a plane or, taking a road trip. But I've had to really switch that idea in my mind and get used to doing staycations and just relaxing at home and taking advantage of that extra time to do things that maybe I otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to do. So recently I took a day off and it was so nice. I explored my neighborhood. I checked out some shops and little boutiques in my local area. I got some coffee, just sitting down at a coffee shop and relaxing. That's something that you may not have the time to do on a regular day. So take a staycation and do things like that. Because if you think about it, we only have Saturday and Sunday as a typical weekend, and there's only so much that you can do during those days. So something else you can do to manage the stressful times that we're living in with staying productive and getting ahead at work is taking advantage of some kind of project management tool to help you to prioritize and track the work that you're doing. There are so many different project management tools out there. There's one called Asana. You have Microsoft Project Plan, which is totally free if you have the Microsoft suite. And my favorite one, and the one that I've been using for years, is Trello. This is totally free for me as well. And it's just a way to track the assignments that you're working on and tracking any updates pertaining to those assignments, any next steps, any due dates that may be coming up. That way, that's extra time that you can spend going on a break, taking a walk during your lunch period, actually taking a lunch and sitting down at your kitchen table and eating instead of at your computer. So you have free time because you're not trying to memorize your workload or next steps in a project. You can just go right to that project management toolkit that you use to keep you updated on what you have to do during the day. I know a lot of us are already using a project management tool of some sort, but if you're not, get on board, because this is just going to save you a lot of stress in the long run. And over time, no matter what tool you're using, you're going to find out what works for you, and you're going to build it out in a way that's best for you. So at this point, the way I have it set up, Trello does all the work for me. At the beginning of the workday, instead of me having to pick my brain about, what do I have to do first? I just go to Trello and follow the steps that I've set for myself. Another very low-hanging fruit tool that you can use if you're not super savvy around using, more extensive, sophisticated tracking tools is just using your calendar. There's a way that you can create tasks on your calendar. You can color coordinate it based on, project, based on when it's due, etc. But every now and then, if something is very high priority, I'll add that to my calendar and I'll color code it as yellow as like an alert to myself. So as soon as I open up Outlook in the morning, because that's the calendar and the email that I use, I can see these items that I need to work on ASAP. It's like flashing right in my face. Even though I use Outlook, I'm sure Google Calendars and, a lot of other email and calendar programs have this same kind of function. It's a pretty simplistic function that you can use to just remind yourself and keep yourself updated on due dates and tasks so you don't have to wreck your brain and try to memorize it. Let's try to make our work streams as simple as possible during these crazy times. And something else that's really important to remember during these times is give yourself grace. And this is your personal and your professional life. Maybe if the world wouldn't have, turned upside down, you would have been more productive at work, or maybe you would have been a little further in your career. Who knows, right? But even if that is indeed the case, it's okay. We've all been through a lot. We're all going through a lot and trying to make sense of everything. So give yourself a break if you're not exactly where you want to be during this time in your career or in your personal life. We're all human and we're all doing the best with the resources that we currently have. So just remember that. And if it would be helpful, maybe you can just write certain phrases and reminders on like a sticky note, put it around your office or your home as reminders to breathe, give yourself a break, and to understand that you're doing the best that you can. One thing I'm really starting to get into more is positive affirmations. So one that I've made for myself recently is the simple phrase, Gabby, you're doing the best that you can. So when I'm in those situations where I'm feeling high stress, or I'm feeling I'm not doing enough, or I could be doing so much more, I just remind myself, Gabby, you're doing the best that you can. And it really does snap me out of it and put me back in reality instead of being so caught up in my own negative thoughts. Another thing that can be helpful for you during this time is creating a peaceful work environment. Whatever peaceful means to you, everybody's different. It could mean lighting candles. It could mean keeping it clean. In my instance, I make sure that my furniture is white because it just helps my environment to feel open, airy. I also make sure to have plants around my environment, as you can see right here, because that is what peace means to me. I also love working in a space where I get nice light coming through because, that makes me feel more positive, more energized. And also it may be helpful for you, to put away a lot of distractions that may stress you out, or maybe playing some kind of music that makes you feel calm and positive is another thing that you want to implement, because there may be a lot happening in the world and things may be very chaotic. But what you can control, definitely take advantage and, make that as comfortable and peaceful for you as possible. So now I just want to mention two more really quick points. I talked about this before, but getting out in nature is such a big positive for me and a good recharge. It keeps me energized, especially if I can get out, like I said, and take a walk during lunch or something. During those days when I'm feeling demotivated or, just not that into work, I'll take a break, go out, take a walk, come back, and I have new motivation. So it's super helpful. And working from home can put you in this weird state where you don't really get out that much and you don't interact with people the way you used to. And we're all social creatures. So it's really important to keep that muscle strong. So getting out, taking those walks, interacting with your neighbor, talking to people in your community, and also a way for you to take a break from being online so much and, digesting the news and everything that's going on, of course, can be very stressful. So you need those breaks away from the media, away from social media, etc. And getting out in nature can be the way that you do that. Also, the last thing that I want to mention is the importance of connecting with loved ones and letting them know how you feel, especially if, it's all just too much and you're feeling overwhelmed, not in a good mood. Your loved ones are probably going to pick up on that. So it's better for you to just be, very honest about what you're going through so they can understand, and they can also step up and provide you with support. Oftentimes when we're talking about a challenge that we may be going through in life or with work, we want to share that with our loved ones, but we may not necessarily want advice or for them to come up with all of these ideas on how we can make things better, right? Sometimes we just want a listening ear. It's good on the onset of the conversation to let your family members know, or to let your friends know, hey, I don't really want advice. I just want a listening ear. Are you open, or do you have the space? That way you can get the kind of support that you want. And also your loved one doesn't have to feel that stressor or the burden of trying to come up with a solution to everything that you're having problems with. So that's a quick tip that I wanted to share, but just overall, it's really important to connect with your family about what you're going through, even though it can be hard. I know sometimes we may have a fear about being a burden or dumping too much on our family, but that's why it's important to have a support system so you can talk it out with people and just air out what you're going through. Oftentimes we feel so much better after we simply let it out. And it may also help the people that you're connecting with, because you may be having a problem that they're also having, but they felt alone about. And of course, seeking therapy if you don't have anyone to talk to. Therapy is super important, but I do understand it is a resource that everyone cannot afford, unfortunately. Seeing if there are any therapists in your area that offers a sliding fee scale would also be very helpful. And below in my description, I'm going to try to share some different resources that you can use to access therapy, because I do know we always talk about how important it is, but sometimes we don't acknowledge how expensive it can be. So I'll try to find some resources for you all and put it below. But in this video, I just wanted to acknowledge that yes, it is really difficult right now to work at advancing your careers while also dealing with everything on the news, everything happening in your own communities, in your own families, within your own friend groups, etc. So you're very normal if you feel this struggle. And hopefully this video can just give you some ideas on how you can better manage. Please leave in the comment section below if you have ideas and things that have been helping you to stay motivated and stay afloat at your jobs while also balancing external factors and just things that are happening in the world. So leave it below. I want to get a conversation started. And during these times, I'm wishing you and your loved ones happiness and good health. So talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.